Welcome back into another episode of the Believe in Georgia Tech podcast. I am your co-host Jackson Caudell, coming to you live from a parking lot in Boulder, Colorado. Just got out of the press conferences, got back here. RJ may or may not join. He's got some things going on, but man, we got a lot to talk about. I'm gonna be going off the cuff, so if I miss something, y'all been here for these instant reactions. I do apologize. We're gonna have a show next week talking about a lot of this as well. So if I do miss anything, yeah, I'm sure y'all will let me know. And I apologize for that. Also, again, y'all know the deal with me in my car. It could be a bad connection, could be bad audio. If it is, apologies for that. But man, like what a game. I guess I'll just kind of dive right into it. I that was the fact that they won this game and started the way they did. I think you have to feel somewhat good about, and you went on the road and you beat like. Do I think Colorado is a college football playoff team? No, but I going on the road with some new pieces, especially a new defensive coordinator, almost a brand. Yeah, I mean you had a true freshman starting at defensive end tonight because AJ Hoffler was out. Andre Fuller played a lot. Um, to be able to do the things that they did and win, beating themselves. Like they were beating themselves early in that game, and Colorado got some things going, but I Georgia Tech to me was the clear better team in this game, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they were -3 in the turnover margin and still won this game. So just the start was just horrendous. Like we'll just kind of go first drive of the game. Malik Rutherford takes a handoff, gets like 11, 12 yards. I think he got a first down, and then you had a bad exchange between Haynes King and Jamal Haynes. That it can't happen. It's on the road. It's first game. Like we said it a million times over the past week. Like weird crap happens in the first game, and sometimes you're not like this. You don't have preseason football. This isn't the NFL. I know that's kind of cliche, college football saying, but it is true. But to me, I do still think you have to expect better out of a veteran quarterback like Haynes King and Jamal as well. And that's not like sliding those guys, but I think just they you can't allow that to happen. Colorado scores touchdown. They have all the momentum. Crowds on their side. They ran the ball I think 3 times for 24 yards on that first drive. Like they opened the ball, ran really well. Then the very next drive, get back to back first downs, and like that was the frustrating thing. It was like Georgia Tech. It's one of the frustrating things. Like Georgia Tech was clearly just getting yards and first downs, and they were moving the ball at will, but they couldn't. They were just making just dumb mistakes. You had just a really bad snap. There's some mixing and matching with the offensive line. I'll kind of get into that in a little bit. And that gave Colorado the ball back. But the two, I would argue, the two most critical drives of the entire game. I know we'll get to the Haynes King touchdown run in a little bit, but like the fact that they held Colorado to a 3-and-out. Georgia Tech's third drive, Haynes King throws that interception after they pick up some more first downs, and then Georgia Tech forces another 3-and-out. And I'll repeat this a little bit, but like Colorado had some questionable play calling and just game clock management overall. Like right after Georgia Tech the bad snap, I thought Colorado was going to go right back to running the ball. Like that's kind of the mantra we've heard from them was, hey, this is going to be a physical team, a physical offensive line, and they just kind of abandoned that because on the first 3-and-out, Salter was 0 for 3. Like it was a very quick 3-and-out. And then they had a fourth and short, and this was the first time where they didn't go for it. Deion Sanders has been criticized for his decision making on fourth down and his game management before, and it really showed up in a bad way tonight. Like that, I thought that was just a poor decision. And again, especially just given the fact, like on that first drive, like they had 3 carries for 24 yards. Like they were doing a pretty good job of moving the ball on Georgia Tech on the ground, and they just kind of abandoned those first couple drives. I thought it was just a really bad decision to not go for it there. You had the first quarter in, like Georgia Tech was outgaining Colorado 145-44, and they were losing, and they were -3 in the turnover margin. And like, let me put this into perspective. Like Georgia Tech's third turnover of last year came in the Notre Dame game. Like think about that for a minute. Like they did a really good job. Now 2023, we know Haynes King threw a lot of interceptions. There was a lot of turnover. Then they cleaned a lot of that up in 2024. Like it was a huge improvement. Well, hopefully, that they'll clean some of this up, and I think a lot of it is just stuff you can clean up. Like the interception was bad, but the bad snap, the bad exchange on the handoff early in the game, like that stuff you can correct. But the ground game was really humming early on, despite some of the shortcomings with the sloppy play. Um, Georgia Tech drives down. Aidenberg gets a 32-yard field goal, and shout out to Aiden, by the way. He was called upon twice, did his job. He had some shaky moments last year, but he got off to a really good start. And like I will just take a second to shout out the Colorado crowd. Like they were really loud, and it was a full stadium. Like a lot of credit to them for making it a good atmosphere. But being able to kick 2 field goals, he had 140 plus yards and make that. Like I thought that was really good for him. So Colorado comes back their fourth drive. You Georgia Tech's able to force them to punt again. It wasn't a 3-and-out because you had a face mask penalty, but you get another 3-and-out, and then you had Georgia Tech comes back on their fifth drive. You had a huge holding on Colorado on a third down play. Bailey Stockton, who was the best receiver tonight, he had a big play. Haynes King runs it in for a touchdown. It was just a 10-play, 80-yard drive. There was 4:33 left in the first half, and it was like that was what you wanted to see. It was 10-7, but like Georgia Tech was moving the ball almost at will aside from the turnovers. The defense had kind of gotten their feet under them and really held down Colorado's offense there after the turnovers, and like things were really in Georgia Tech's favor. Now Colorado, it was 3rd and 11, and this was like Amarian Miller had a 39-yard catch, and that was a huge missed opportunity for Tech, and Colorado ends up getting a field goal out of this. But the red zone defense was pretty solid there at first. But outside of that big catch, they go down, tie the game up 10-10. Georgia Tech then drives back down. Aidenberg hits his 42-yard field goal. They led 13-10 at the half. And here's some halftime stats for you. Georgia Tech was outgaining them 279 to 119, had 182 yards rushing, 6.5 yards per carry. Colorado only had 71. Georgia Tech only had 98 yards passing, but Caden Salter was really rough in the first half. I think he did some things a lot better in the second half, whether it was with his legs. They kind of got Georgia Tech on a couple of those RPO bubble screens a little bit, and they got some good yards after catch. But outside of the Amarian Miller 39-yard catch, like Colorado's receivers did not make any plays downfield, and that was something I was watching, and I wrote about it and talked about it several times this week. Like Colorado's receivers do have size, and they do have ability. Like they have some pedigree to them, but outside of that Miller catch in the second quarter, like there just wasn't a lot there for them. So third quarter, Colorado comes out. They're driving pretty well. Like Michael Welch has a 22-yard gain on the first play. He had another good run. Georgia Tech gets a good stop on third down, and I thought for sure Dion was going to punt or not punt. I thought he was going to go for it on that one, and he declined not to. Like he punted it away, especially just after again. You started that drive off with some pretty good runs, and then they just didn't. Georgia Tech punts on their first drive of the third quarter. Colorado then comes down, kicks a field goal. It was huge because they got down there, and Jordan Vandenberg got a sack right there. Like that was huge to hold them to a field goal, because you had I think that was the drive where you had Amari Harvey had that penalty, the unsportsmanlike penalty. Vandenberg ends up getting a sack. Like that was just again a really big drive after the defense kind of gave up some big plays. They locked in and got it done. Next drive for Georgia Tech, you had the 4th and short conversion after Luke Harpering. He didn't quite get there. Haynes King had a 17-yard touchdown run, 11 plays, 75 yards, really good. Colorado then comes back. It was a really nice drive for them, 15 plays, 75 yards. Caden Salter goes down there, runs a touchdown. Georgia Tech gets the drive back. Gets the ball back. Excuse me. I'm tired. So Jamal Haynes has a 27-yard catch on the first play of the drive, but then you had just a couple of just really costly penalties from the offensive line. And as well as they did run blocking tonight, like, you had some of the snaps, you had just some poorly timed penalties, especially on this drive. You had a snap infraction, you had a false start. And then I was worried this play was going to get highlighted a lot more than it ended up being, just because of the results of the game. But it was like 3rd and 15, 3rd and 16, and Haynes King has Brett Seither wide open, and he just missed him. And I'm going to kind of talk about one of the negatives tonight. I thought a lot of the vertical passing game, for all we've heard now, Malik Rutherford, he was banged up and he left the game. I don't know about his status going forward, but King has to make that throw. Like against better teams, you're going to face a better team in 2 weeks. Like the number 4 team in the country is going to come to Atlanta in a couple weeks, and they're going to dare Haynes King to beat them with throws like that, and he has to be able to make them. For as great a game and as big moments as he had tonight, like you have to make that throw. Like it's just, I'm not going to say anything more about it. Like you got to make that throw. Defense again was put in a I don't say a tough situation, but like you had to stop Colorado. Like this was how much time was left? There was about 5 or so minutes left in the game. Like it was, if Colorado had a good drive and got into field goal range, like they could have won the game, or who knows, maybe they scored a touchdown. Defense came up really big on that one, forced a punt, and then the next drive, 5 plays, 71 yards. There was 1:07 left. Haynes King runs it in. And yeah, I know there's like, I guess, some thought of, well, he should have slid and just kicked the field goal and win it. But I think considering you're on the road, you've already made some mistakes. You've had some snap penalties. You've had a couple bad snaps, and like that was the only one they lost. But there were a few bad snaps in this game. Like it wasn't the cleanest game from that perspective, and I think that's something you can correct. But like you don't want to leave anything to chance, I guess, is what my long way of saying this. Like you don't want to leave anything in. And then Colorado takes over. There's 1:07 left. They have 2 timeouts, and look, it worked out for Georgia Tech. That was a confusing drive for Colorado. Whether it was the play calling, Salter ran around, I think, a little too long on one of those and just let way too much clock bleed out. And then obviously, Georgia Tech didn't allow them to catch the touchdown at the end. But at the end of the day, you got to win. You ran for 320 yards. And you overcame a lot of mistakes, and that was something I asked Brent Key, in the post game press conference. Like, hey, did you learn anything new about your team? Like they were put in an incredibly tough situation, turning the ball over 3 times. And, he complimented the defense and just really gave his hats off to them, and just the way they were able to run the ball. They said multiple times, like him, Keelan Rutledge, Haynes King, like they challenged the offensive line this week. Like we have to win this matchup. And again, that's something we talked about. Like line of scrimmage, Colorado has they had a good defense last year. It didn't obviously play well tonight. But at the end of the day, Georgia Tech went on the road to Colorado, is 1-0. And like you have to feel good in a way about turning the ball over and playing the way they did at the start of this game and still coming out with a victory. I'll kind of get into some good and bad before I let y'all go. But yeah, again, 1-0, you got the victory. Just some stats. 47 rushing attempts for 320 yards, averaging 6.8 yards per carry. It was just awesome, like to see that running game going. It was like it never left. And again, there's some things they still have to clean up with the offensive line. But like we've hinted at all summer and leading into the season, like, yeah, there are some new pieces, like, Ethan McKinney, Harrison Moore, Tana got some playing time tonight. It looked like Keelan Rutledge was fine, by the way. I know he had to come out at the end of the game. He came and talked to us after, and, he appeared to be fine. There's no, like, official update on that, but he came out and talked with us in the post game. But, man, just 320 yards, 6.8 yards per carry, and they ran the ball just at will. You had a career high 156 yards and 3 touchdowns from Haynes King. I guess the one slight negative I'll say about the offense was I think we're going to need to see more from the wide receiver in the passing game. And I know that they wanted to run the ball. Like obviously 47 attempts to 21 passing attempts. Like that's intentioned. But I do think there were some times either Haynes held the ball too long. Some guys didn't get open. And like I said on the Scyther play, like Haynes did miss some throws. It was not the most perfect game from him. Obviously, he had a couple of turnovers there. But like the guy found a way to win. Like he willed the team to victory, and I think Deion Sanders even said we made him look like a Heisman candidate tonight. And I don't know that it'll go that far because of some of the mistakes, but like it was clearly very good. Total yards 463 to Colorado's 305. Penalties, that was the other thing. Other than along with the turnovers, like 8 penalties is just unacceptable. Like you're not going to win many games turning the ball over 3 times and committing 8 penalties. Like if you do that against Clemson, it's not going to be a fun day in Atlanta. Everybody should know that. But the way that they good teams find a way to win. Like it's a cliche saying, but it's absolutely true. Good teams find a way to win when you play like your B minus or your C plus game, and that's what Georgia Tech, like, you had some good things tonight with the running attack and whatnot, but you also had some negatives, and the fact that they were able to overcome that, I do think says a lot, and you just got to make sure you don't put yourself in that hole again, because like I said, you have Clemson, you have some other good teams on your schedule. You can't put yourself in that situation. Third down offense, I thought was good tonight. 6 of 11, held Colorado 5 of 13, 6.8 yards per play to Colorado's 5.1, 11 yards per completion. They 3 for 3 in the red zone. Am I missing anything there? Didn't create any turnovers. You had 1 sack. The Vandenberg sack, had 6 tackles for loss. Look, I think it was a pretty good game. I thought overall for the defense, I thought the run defense wasn't great at certain times. Like Colorado ended up carrying it 31, ended up with 146 yards on 31 carries, averaging 4.7. I thought Michael Welch had a lot of burst at times, and I don't think they leaned on him enough. I just kind of wonder if you get in some of those fourth and shorts or third and shorts, and they kind of lean on him a little bit. I think there was just some poor play calling from Colorado that I think helped Georgia Tech out. Now it's not the only reason Georgia Tech won. Just an observation. I mean, as far as receivers go tonight, Bailey Stockton 4 for 48. Eric Rivers had 3 catches for 24 yards. Also had 2 carries for 34 yards. Like, you can see the speed on the field. Malachi Hosley also had I thought a pretty solid debut overall. Like, I think it ended up with 7 carries for 47 yards. I thought he ran the ball well, 6.7 yards per carry, and I thought he was just a tough runner. You saw what you needed to see from him tonight. So overall, good win. There's plenty to clean up, and I think that's Brent Key isn't glad the mistakes happened like they did. Obviously, you want to go out there and win by a bigger score, and I think they would have if they hadn't turned the ball over. But the fact that you were able to go in there, turn the ball over 3 times, have some misses, have some penalties, have some frustrating things happen, go on the road and beat a team 27-20 when it could have been worse, I think you take that. Yeah, my lights just went out on me. So appreciate everybody tuning in. I know it's a little dark now, but I'm going to get out of here. We're going to cover this a lot more in depth. I apologize if I missed anything. I was trying to just get everything out as best I could. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, buckle up, do that. We got a long season ahead. Got off on a good start tonight. Just like the YouTube video. Love it if you'd follow us wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a review over there. And I will see you guys next week ahead of the Gardner Webb game. Appreciate you guys tuning in.